Back in Old Britain, family journeys felt very different. Long before smartphones and sat-navs, families unfolded paper maps on their laps and packed flasks of tea into the boot before heading off on holiday. Motorways stretched across the country, while children stared out rain-covered windows during long drives to Blackpool, Cornwall, or the Scottish coast. Luxury cars like Jaguars, Mercedes-Benz models, and Rolls-Royces represented comfort and prestige back then. But most British families relied on something far simpler: ordinary family cars. Cars built to survive crowded roads, terrible weather, overloaded luggage, and thousands of motorway miles without complaint. Some became famous for reliability. Others earned trust slowly over years of faithful service. But together, these cars became part of British family life itself. So today, we're counting down 10 old British family cars people trusted for long journeys. And by the time we reach number 1, you'll understand why so many families refuse to replace it for years. Number 10. Austin Maxi. The Austin Maxi arrived in 1969, built by British Leyland, and remained a familiar sight throughout the 1970s. At first glance, the Maxi looked slightly awkward compared to sleeker rivals, but for long-distance family travel, it quietly became one of Britain's most useful cars. The Maxi featured front-wheel drive, a practical hatchback design, and folding rear seats that created enormous luggage space. Families packed them full of suitcases, camping equipment, shopping bags, and children for long summer holidays. The soft suspension also handled rough British roads surprisingly well. Most versions used economical 4-cylinder engines, focused on reliability rather than speed. Number 9. Morris Minor Traveller. The Morris Minor Traveller became one of Britain's most recognizable family cars. Built by Morris Motors, the Traveller featured charming wooden rear panels and a practical estate car layout. Even during the 1970s, many families still trusted them for long journeys across Britain. The car used simple, reliable engines that mechanics understood easily, and despite modest performance, the Minor felt surprisingly comfortable on country roads and smaller motorways. Families loved the huge luggage area in the back. Dogs, picnic baskets, pushchairs, and holiday bags all fitted surprisingly well. The Traveller wasn't fast, but it carried families faithfully for years. And perhaps that quiet dependability made people trust it so deeply. Number 8. Ford Cortina Mk3. When the Ford Cortina Mk3 arrived in 1970, it immediately became one of Britain's most important family cars. Built by Ford UK, the Cortina combined practicality, comfort, and affordability almost perfectly. The long body offered generous interior space for growing families. And under the bonnet, buyers could choose from several reliable engines depending on their needs. The Cortina became especially popular for long motorway journeys because it felt stable and comfortable at speed. Families trusted them for holidays across the country. Builders drove them for work. Taxi drivers relied on them daily. And because Ford sold enormous numbers, mechanics everywhere knew how to repair them quicker. For many Britons, the Cortina became the perfect all-round family car. Number 7. Rover P6. The Rover P6 brought something slightly more refined to British roads. Built by Rover during the 1960s and 1970s, the P6 combined comfort, safety, and solid engineering. The design looked elegant without being flashy, and inside, the cabin felt surprisingly luxurious for an ordinary family saloon. Some models came with Rover's famous V8 engine, giving the car smooth motorway performance and effortless long-distance driving ability. Families trusted the P6 because it felt strong and secure on difficult roads. The suspension handled bumps comfortably, while the seats made long trips less tiring. For many middle-class British families, the Rover P6 represented dependable sophistication, and even today, it still feels wonderfully solid. Number 6. Vauxhall Victor FE. The Vauxhall Victor FE arrived in 1972 and quickly became one of Britain's dependable motorway cruisers. Built by Vauxhall, the Victor offered roomy seating, large windows, and soft suspension perfect for family journeys. The styling looked modern and clean compared to older British saloons. Most models used sensible 4-cylinder engines designed for durability and fuel economy. Families liked the Victor because it felt easy to drive over long distances. The steering remained light, visibility was excellent, and passengers enjoyed plenty of comfort inside. For families traveling hundreds of miles during summer holidays, that comfort mattered enormously. And although many Victors eventually rusted away, people still remember them fondly today. Number 5. Austin Cambridge. The Austin Cambridge became one of Britain's most dependable family cars during the E-till-LCs and early E-till-CBS. Built by Austin under the British Motor Corporation, the Cambridge focused on simplicity above everything else. The styling looked conservative and familiar, but underneath sat tough mechanical components that handled everyday life very well. Families trusted the Cambridge because it rarely felt complicated. The engines were reliable, the suspension handled rough roads reasonably well, and repairs remained affordable for many families traveling long distances during difficult economic times. Dependability mattered more than style. The Cambridge quietly became part of ordinary Britain, and although newer cars eventually replaced it, many owners remembered them as incredibly trustworthy machines. Number 4. Triumph Launch 2000 felt slightly more sophisticated than many family cars of the era. Built by Triumph, the car combined elegant styling with impressive long-distance comfort. Its smooth six-cylinder engine gave the car relaxed motorway performance that made long journeys feel easy. Inside, the Triumph 2000 offered soft seats, wooden dashboard trim, and plenty of passenger space. Families loved how refined the car felt during motorway driving. It remained quiet, stable, and comfortable, even on longer trips across Britain. For many drivers, the Triumph 2000 felt almost luxurious without reaching Jaguar prices. And perhaps that balance made it such a respected family car during the decade. Number 3. Volvo 240. Now, technically Swedish rather than British, but impossible to ignore on British roads during the 1970s. The Volvo 240 became legendary for safety and reliability. Families across Britain trusted them deeply for long-distance travel. Built by Volvo, the 240 featured boxy styling, strong construction, and famously durable engines that seemed to run forever. The huge seats and soft suspension made motorway driving comfortable for both drivers and passengers. Parents especially trusted the Volvo because of its growing reputation for safety. At a time when safety features were becoming more important, the Volvo 240 stood out immediately. And perhaps most importantly, they simply refused to die. Even today, many people still describe the Volvo 240 as one of the toughest family cars ever built. Number 2. Ford Granada. The Ford Granada arrived in the early 1970s and immediately became Britain's king of motorway cruising. Built by Ford UK, the Granada looked large, serious, and comfortable. Inside, passengers enjoyed soft seats, smooth suspension, and generous interior space, perfect for long family journeys. Some models even came with powerful V6 engines that made motorway driving effortless. Families loved the Granada because it handled long trips beautifully. The car felt stable, quiet, and relaxed at higher speeds. Police forces also famously used Granadas across Britain, which added to the car's strong reputation. For many families, upgrading from smaller saloons, the Granada felt like a huge step forward. And even today, older Britons still speak about them with enormous affection. Number 1. Ford Escort Mk2. And finally, the old British family car people trusted more than almost any other, the Ford Escort Mk2. Built by Ford UK in 1975, the Escort became one of Britain's most successful cars for a reason. It balanced reliability, affordability, practicality, and simplicity almost perfectly. The Escort handled daily life effortlessly. School runs, shopping trips, rainy motorway journeys, summer holidays packed with luggage and children. It simply kept going. The car used reliable four-cylinder engines that mechanics understood completely. Repairs stayed affordable, and spare parts were easy to find almost anywhere in Britain. Families loved how dependable the Escort felt. Even when overloaded with luggage and driven across the country, the little Ford rarely seemed to complain. And because millions were sold, the Escort became deeply connected to British family life during the 1970s and 1980s. These cars represented a very different era of British motoring, a time when family journeys felt slower, simpler, and somehow more memorable. Children counted cars from the back seats. Parents unfolded paper maps beside motorway service stations, and ordinary family cars became trusted companions for thousands of miles across Britain. Some of these cars were glamorous. Others looked completely ordinary. But all of them earned something more important than speed or style: trust. They carried families through holidays, rainy nights, breakdown scares, and unforgettable road trips across the country. And even today, many people still remember them with enormous affection. Because these weren't just old cars. They became part of family history itself. So, which of these old British family cars do you remember most? And which one would you trust for a long journey today? Let us know in the comments below.